I'm here outside Dublin City Council on Monday evening after November's council meeting. Some of the issues for discussion tonight included traveller accommodation, a call on the British government to release all files surrounding the 1974 Dublin and Monaghan bombing, and the proposed sell-off of properties in Temple Bar. So after the council meeting, I took a moment to speak to Sinn Féin councillor for Poppintree, Nolene Riley. I spoke to Nolene about housing in her local area and a proposal that she had to place a levy on financial institutions who have vacant buildings that could otherwise be used for housing. And I also spoke to Councillor Claire Byrne, who's a councillor for Pembroke and South Dock of the Green Party. Are there many vacant properties in your local ward?
Yeah, absolutely there would be, and there'd be quite sizable amount across the city. A lot of people would come to me asking about particular properties, thinking they're in the ownership of Dublin City Council, but they wouldn't be. They could be in the ownership of private individuals, but also banks. And banks are sitting on a number of properties around the city, particularly some in my own area in Santry. So I think it's important that they don't get away with some sort of financial penalty on them.
Do you think the housing crisis is particularly bad in your local ward?
Absolutely, yeah. I would represent communities like Ballymun and Finglas, where we would have a huge homeless crisis and bursting waiting lists within those areas. So I think, it's certainly something that needs to be addressed.
And have you been down to see any traveller accommodation in your area recently?
Yeah, I have. Absolutely. I would live quite close to traveller accommodation in Carton, in the Poppintree area. So I have been down there with the residents. It's of a standard that certainly needs to improve.
And just one more question. What do you think about the proposed modular housing site in Poppintree?
Okay, that's actually where I live. I live right beside that site. Unfortunately, there's already a proposal on that site. Well, not really unfortunately, but it's for 40 co-op housing on that site. So it's important that goes ahead, because we have an issue with social mix in the Ballymun area, and the council are always going on about there's not enough people that own their own properties in the area, that we have too many social housing. So this is an opportunity for 40 Ballymun residents to own their own property in the area. Needs to go ahead on that site.
Do you think prefabricated housing is a suitable solution, or is it only suitable just as a temporary solution? Or
I would be in support of modular housing as a short-term measure to get people out of hotels and B&Bs. There's 30 families staying in the Travel Lodge in Ballymun, and that's not life for anyone. They need to be moved out there into more suitable accommodation.
Okay, what does the sell-off of property in Temple Bar exactly involve? What properties are they proposing to sell exactly?
I don't know the list of exact properties, but I do know there is somewhere in the region between 25 and 27 properties that have come back into council ownership after the wind down of the Temple Bar Cultural Trust. And the current proposal is for Dublin City Council to sell those buildings to a profit of approximately 10 million, which they're proposing to redistribute back into the Temple Bar area.
Can you see this money going back into the Temple Bar area in a purposeful manner if the proposed sell-off goes ahead as currently planned?
I would like to see it go back into the local area, and that would certainly be something that I would fight for. I mean, Temple Bar could do with further level of investment, and also I'd like to see investment in youth services, because we have a huge issue with antisocial behaviour of youth hanging around the area, and I think if we could provide some alternatives for them, that would go a long way to reaching that solution. But I do have concerns about whether that money would go back into Temple Bar, given the fact that these disposals, that we had to read about it in the Irish Times. That's the only reason that we know about it, that they weren't coming to the council to sign off on like they should have.
And why do you think they didn't come to the council to sign
I don't know. I mean, hopefully we can get some answers on that. Councillor Moynihan, who's chair of the Arts SPC, of which I'm a member as well, raised the issue through the Arts SPC this morning also, and we raise again next Monday. So what we want to see is like a full audit of cultural and commercial value of Temple Bar, and to develop a clear vision of where we want to see it go, instead of just automatically disposing of these significant amounts of buildings that are obviously worth a lot of money. And like I said earlier in the meeting, there's also a number of young entrepreneurs who have set up really good small scale businesses, in particularly around West Temple Bar. And I really don't want to see them priced out of the market. We're supposed to be supporting our young Indigenous entrepreneurs, not pricing them out in favour of more bars and Tesco's.